Hi, my name is Britten Lamb. I'm a therapist here at ViewPoint Center. I have been with ViewPoint Center for just under 10 years. I have loved working with the kids that I work with. There's so much diversity, and I really appreciate getting to know them and the families. That's one of my favorite parts about it, is working with the families. And in today's clinical corner, we're actually going to talk about how parental anxiety affects our children. And the goal behind this is just to kind of create awareness. We don't ever want to leave any of these feeling like, oh, I should be doing better, or what is wrong, like I do that. But it's more about awareness so that we can create change if we know that some of the things we're doing has an impact on our kiddos. So we're going to start with what are some of the impacts that our anxiety as parents might possibly have on our children. I want to share something, a little bit of a personal story. When my daughter was 16, she really struggled with some pretty severe anxiety. And in my attempt as her mother and a therapist, you can imagine, right? I was like, oh my God, we gotta make this better. I gotta help her. And I was constantly checking in on her and just asking her if she's okay. And I remember this. I was actually sitting on the bed with her one day, and she's like, I was like, what do you need? How can I help you? And she's like, you know what, Mom? You know what I really need? And I'm like, well, yeah, what? And she said, I need you to be okay. And I was like, oh, okay. And I was like, wow, I kind of missed that. But my anxiety was absolutely transferring onto her. And she was already dealing with her own stuff and didn't need to worry about me on top of it. So that's one of the things we're going to talk about. And so it was such a huge lesson, and that's part of why I'm passionate about helping parents understand their role and how it's affecting their children. So one of the first things I want to talk to you about is emotional transference. So when we are in a very heightened emotional state, our kids are actually quite attuned to our emotions. And if we are really emotionally heightened, then this will actually create that in our children. And it can create them feelings of tension, irritability, just feeling on edge. And this can start from a very young age. And so we really want to kind of be aware of how we are responding. The other one of the other things is modeling behavior. How do our kids learn? They learn from us, they learn from their friends, they learn from the world, but especially from a young age, they're learning specifically from us as parents. So if we're modeling that we are like excessively worrying, if we're avoiding certain situations because it makes us overly anxious, if we have really heightened reactions to stressful situations, we are modeling that for our kids. And so they're going to learn that that's how they respond to these situations. Another thing that can happen is attachment and trust issues. So if as parents, we are often tense, anxious, our children are going to be a little bit more hesitant to come to us for comfort because they're going to feel like maybe we're not ready, or you're not available, you're not ready, I don't want to make you more stressed out. And so then that can create like attachment, disruption in attachment, and also not trusting the adults in our life that we're safe and everything's okay. Another thing as parents that we definitely love to do is we want to put our arms around our babies and wrap them in little bubble wrap and not let the world get to them, right? So when we're anxious, we can create a lot of overprotection and this need for control. And so what does that do though? That inadvertently teaches our kids that the world is a freaking scary place and that they should avoid it and that they shouldn't be a part of it. And it really drops their confidence in their ability to feel like they can handle really difficult situations. So I always say that I would rather see my kiddos hurt from a broken arm than like emotionally painful, right? Like if I could protect them from that, I totally would. However, if we continue to protect them, then they don't learn to do that on their own. And then we are inadvertently teaching them, hey, I don't have confidence in you to handle this. Let me take care of it. And so then they don't believe in themselves. And so it's really important to understand, like, well, of course we want to protect and have that control. We also need to create awareness that sometimes it's those difficult things that help our kids grow and develop into emotionally competent adults. Social development. This kind of goes with the overprotection and control, but if you, or if us as parents are avoiding social situations, and we're keeping our kids from doing that, that can interfere with them developing healthy social skills. And we all need that, right? We know we need connection, we know we need attachment, but in any job or anything that we're going to do, we're going to need to have some confident social skills to be able to navigate that effectively. Our anxiety, actually interesting, can also affect our kids' academic performance. This can look like maybe their need for perfection, right? Everything has to be perfect all the time. I can't get anything below an A. And so then that creates a lot of distress around school performance. Another thing might be the opposite, and there's complete avoidance. And you know, that you might start seeing in attendance at school, you might start seeing just not completing homework, a lot of avoidance that can affect their academic performance. The other thing is also focus. When we're super anxious and we have a lot of those big emotions and we don't really know how to deal with them, absolutely affects our focus and attention. The other thing is physical health. So how can anxiety over time affect our physical health? It actually, research shows that it creates a weakened immune system. We can have sleep disturbances. Your kids can have sleep disturbances. You can get upset stomachs. A lot of people talk about anxiety being in their stomach, right? And so absolutely has a really important effect on our physical health. Well, we know physical health is directly related to our mental health, and they go together. And so we want to make sure our kids are actually in good physical health so that they then can handle these anxieties and other big emotions that may come into their life. And so again, creating awareness for ourselves can prevent that from developing in our kids. Another piece is self-esteem and self-worth, right? Okay, so how does anxiety, and our anxiety specifically, affect our kids' self-esteem and self-worth? So this kind of goes back to what I was talking about earlier about it can inadvertently create a lack of resiliency, right? If I'm super anxious and I'm avoiding, then I'm not going to have confidence, or if my parents are overprotecting me and again communicating, not directly, but inadvertently, that I can't handle this, I'm going to believe that. That's going to start to become a part of my belief system. When it's more than just a thought and it is part of our belief, it's much harder at that point to replace that belief. It's possible though, and we've learned that, and that's the exciting thing, that all of these things, even as parents and as adults, we can still do things that help us manage our anxiety. This is true for our kiddos, so the sooner we can do that, then their self-esteem is going to go up. They're going to have more confidence in their ability to handle life's challenges, because there's always going to be life's challenges. So to wrap this up, children of anxious parents are more likely to develop anxiety. This is because of genetic component and also because of learned behaviors. So then the question is, okay, now what? What do we do about it? So as parents, we can see our own therapist. That's a really good place to start, who can teach you how to, develop healthier, more manageable coping strategies. Mindfulness strategies, research shows, is one of the #1 most effective ways to treat anxiety, even above medications. And then also meditation is a part of mindfulness, so this can be really helpful. There's lots of different strategies that as parents we can use to help us manage our anxiety, role model how to handle things, and then show confidence in our kids that we trust and believe that they can handle anything that comes their way. So again, this is all about awareness and helping us understand what role we're playing, and also being able to kind of be empowered to know that if that is us, then that's okay. This is just about understanding, but also we can do something about it to change that trajectory.